So we have a couple of videos, excuse me, that we're gonna play. The first ones, we have two of them of Oprah Winfrey. She showed up at the DNC to do her thing, and Rob, what was the first one even? What was she saying?
This is the first one where she talks about the United States being more united than divided. It's very interesting, the terminology that she uses. I'll let her speak, and then we can react.
Okay, go for it.
And despite what some would have you think, we are not so different from our neighbors. When a house is on fire, we don't ask about the homeowner's race or religion.
Maui.
We don't wonder who their partner is or how they voted. No. We just try to do the best we can to save them. And if the place happens to belong to a childless cat lady.
Interesting shot.
Look at CNN. How brutal is CNN? Look at her. She's like, wait a minute, is the camera on me?
Childless cat lady around me?
Oh, my God.
Who, me? Yeah. We try to get that cat out, too.
Dude, whoever the camera guy is has a freaking sense of humor.
We can cut it here, but I love this where she discusses a fire when literally neighbors of hers lost everything in Maui, and then she was shamed by the internet to actually contribute and start a fund. And she did. Her and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson created a fund for the people of Maui where it's like a $10 million fund, but she got shamed into doing that.
Yes.
And the people of Maui, they still haven't rebuilt. You know what they get? They get $1,200 monthly payments out of this $10 million fund. They're never going to be able to rebuild their homes. There's never. And what did Oprah do for them? $10 million when she's worth $3 billion? I can't sit here and criticize because I didn't give anything.
Yes.
But I'm also not worth a third, a tenth, a hundredth of what Oprah is worth. This woman owns over 1,000 acres of land on Maui, and the island that caught on fire.
And did she buy a bunch too? Like
she bought a bunch right before.
Yes.
Right. So that's bad timing. But again, the optics of if I'm writing that speech
or good timing.
Yeah, but if I'm writing that speech for Oprah, I'm leaving that part out. I don't know how that part makes it in by the speechwriter.
Or if you're her, I would have been like, oh, no. Take the burning houses part out, homeowners, because I don't want anybody to talk about it.
Right. It's like Ted Kennedy giving a speech and talking about, safe driving, right? If the designated drivers. And I think people in America should have designated drivers.
Yeah, like, who put,
said the man who drove off a bridge and killed Mary Jo Kopechne.
Yeah, she doesn't really have much reason to pander to Hawaii, because Hawaii, when's the last time they voted Republican? Never. So unless there's people in Hawaii demanding whatever their demands are, it's all, who cares? Like, she's out there. They bring her out there because she's arguably the biggest media personality of all time, if not in the top 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And she's doing the female black empowerment thing. And that is going to be the difference in this election. We can do all the Maui fires, conspiracy stuff we want. But the reality is this election has now tipped, shockingly enough, in Kamala's favor. If you check out the general election polls, I'm sure Tom's got a lot of stats and polls that we can read, but she's just evidence of the type of person that's going to rev up the base, and it's working.
But based on what? What is that shift in this election?
It's all about how you feel, man.
So it's not based on policy at all.
Is it ever? Is it ever?
I mean, with Trump, it was identity. Hold on. That's identity politics, which the left loves to do. Trump was, his personality is crazy, he's yelling, but it was policies. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I haven't heard one policy besides Kamala basically stealing Trump's, no tax on tips. What are you actually running on?
The $25,000 first-time home buyers credit that she promised but hasn't explained where that money's going to come from. And then also they're going to build 3 million new homes. But again, she just says these things, but does she actually have a plan for any of this?
I fully agree with you that if you actually look at the actual policies that Kamala, who speaks very rarely, has presented, it just screams socialism, but masquerading as we're here for you guys. Yeah. And a lot of people fell for that in 2016 with Bernie. They're like, oh, this guy's making a lot of sense. It's like when you do the math, the shit don't add up.
Yeah.
That's what this is. They're putting lipstick on a pig. They're masquerading as economic populism. We're here to help you. But as Ronald Reagan said, in 1980, You know, the scariest words you could ever hear is, I'm from the government, I'm here to help you. They're championing big government. They're championing less taxes for the middle class. It economically, policy-wise, it makes no sense. But if we know anything about the Democratic Party, it ain't about making dollars, it ain't about making sense. It's all about how you feel, and they do a better job of that.
Oh, big time.
Of the marketing than Republicans.
Yeah, but what does that say about the Democratic voters in the sense that
they're dumber, Vinny?
Yeah, no, but think about this. For the past 4 years, why didn't any of them do it? Like, as a voter, how dumb do you have to
Vinny,
be?
You're way too worried about facts and data.
I'm just saying, though, but as
you
a
gotta
voter,
go with how you feel.
As a voter, hold on. Just even if you're a Democrat voter and you're feeling the pinch right now, like when you saw Don Lemon going around Atlantic City going, hey, your life is better now, right? And the guy's like, no, actually, I'm making way less money. He's like, nah, you're lying. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You would think the actual voter wouldn't get duped into going, wow, look, Oprah Winfrey's on stage. I'm going to vote for them, even though for the past 4 years, nothing has been happening positive.
Just
nothing.
the price on groceries alone should make any person that... What's very odd to me is that they look past that.
Yes.
They go, I can see the negative effect of this administration on my bank account, but Chelsea Handler told me to vote for Kamala Harris, and I'm going to do it. She's not evil like Donald Trump, and that's what they cast their vote on, rather than the actual impact that this administration has had on their lives for the past 3 years. And then the argument becomes, well, you can't blame Kamala Harris. She's only the vice president. Well, what vice president has ever accomplished anything in the history of vice presidents? Well, if that's going to be your argument, that Kamala Harris as a vice president hasn't accomplished anything because no vice president has ever accomplished anything in the history of the vice presidency, then what experience does Kamala have to be the holder of the highest office in the world?
So you're going to vote for the nice lady without a resume?
That's
okay.
There's the resume. Ta-da!
I mean, you could put on that resume, District Attorney of San Francisco.
But Adam makes. I mean, you make a valid. I mean, we're joking, but great point. It's like they don't care. They don't care. Trump could go up there and talk about policy all day. People want that. Promising the BSing the celebrity status. Did they really have any real big famous names at the RNC?
But
Kid Rock,
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan. But dude,
hey, listen, brother.
Yeah, look how old they are. But dude, these guys, look at the dog. They have Barack Obama. They have Michelle Obama. They got Oprah Winfrey. They have all these huge names. RNC
they had John Legend. They had Stevie
John Legend.
Wonder.
We're singing. Yes, Stevie Wonder. Who did the RNC have? I'm being
They had
generous.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a celebrity.
Oh yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
Guess what? The election's over.
Yeah, as long look, I actually had dinner with a bunch of my buddies Tuesday night down here in Miami, and these were all guys that are very successful, grew up in Miami, lawyers, doctors, you know, like they're doing their thing, and they were kind of where I was at politically. They, you know, voted for Obama. Wasn't really feeling the Trump thing in 2016. A lot of them were never Trumpers. 2020 came around. I mean, I told everybody, I'm like, dude, nobody wants Trump. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And now, you know, I haven't really seen a lot of them in the last few years because obviously we've been doing our valuetainment thing.
Yeah.
And here's what's interesting. There's people on the right that see me and they're like, you're a socialist, woke, liberal, gay Jew. I'm like, okay, you got it, buddy.
Yeah.
And then my friends, actual people that know me, they're like, I don't even recognize you anymore, bro.
Really?
You're just MAGA'd out, aren't you? Were you at January 6th? I was like, yeah, dude. Like,
okay.
But the reality is, I'm a registered independent.
Yeah.
I'm that guy that's like, yeah, policies. Like, I get it. I hear you here. Yeah. But none of them are voting for Trump.
That's insane.
And I'm like, guys, and I'm the outcast in this crew. I'm the like how you are on PBD the right way, whatever. That's who I am in my crew.
Yeah.
So if you're getting shit from the right and you're getting shit from the left, you're probably doing something right. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, here's what I've learned. As long as Trump is the nominee, he's such a polarizing figure, and it's so hard for anyone to look past that. Mm-hmm. So I'll ask somebody this question, and this guy happened to be Jewish. You know, let's not come at him. I said, who would you vote for? Donald Trump for president, hypothetical, or Rashida Tlaib? And she's the Palestinian, basically anti-Jewish congresswoman, and this guy's Jewish. They all aren't Jewish. And he goes, That's a tough
Are
one.
you
dude.
serious?
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Are you serious?
I go, what's even happening here?
Yeah.
Because that's how polarizing Donald Trump is that they would still vote for somebody who, for all intents and purposes, probably their policies match way more aligned with Donald Trump.
Personality.
But they're willing
Yep.
to go to whatever lengths not to vote. That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
And me, I'm like, dude, I'm like, it's pretty clear. I'm voting for Trump.
Yeah.
They're like, how dare you?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
who are
you've
you?
lost your mind.
Yeah, for sure.
What's interesting is Trump
derangement syndrome still exists.
Yes,
but
That's all I'm
Trump
saying.
has calmed that narrative down, and his rhetoric, he has. He's not the guy that's on Twitter every single day. If he is posting, it's on Truth Social and to what? The echo chamber of his base. What's interesting is the DNC has now shifted, right? If you watch these speeches, and again, I've not watched the entirety of the speeches. I've watched clips of the speeches.
Yeah.
But realistically, some of these speeches are 15 minutes long. I guarantee you 8 minutes of them, it's just clapping.
Of course.
Them
For what now?
standing up and just basking
For
in their
Trump?
own self-righteousness of
Rob,
glory.
you're absolutely right. But you're missing one thing. They don't need to hear another speech from Trump.
They're voting for him regardless.
They've known Trump for 40 years, and then he's been magnified for the last 10. They don't need to hear another speech to be like, well, let's hear this one. They've already made up their mind, bro.
I get it. What my point is that what the DNC has done is they flipped. They went from he attacks people. He's bad because he said Rosie O'Donnell had a big head, which she kind of does. It's large, but that's
He said
fine.
a lot worse than that.
Yes, he's okay.
Which I agree with. She's a
Now
slob.
you've noticed Trump he's pulled back and reined in on the personal attacks. He's not out there taking shots at Kamala. Maybe he'll mispronounce her name.
Once in a while, but nowhere near what he was.
Nowhere near what he did with Hillary, what he has done with Joe
Jeb
Biden.
Bush.
But if you watch the DNC and you watch these speeches, it's multiple people taking shots at Trump and his personality.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting that the party that for the past 8 years has told you he's a bad person because he name calls is now the party that's name calling, and they're heroes for doing it.
Do you want to know why, though?
Why?
They're playing with house money at this point, bro, the Democrats. 30 days ago, 60 days ago, when was the Trump
Assassination?
Biden Trump Biden debate? That was end of June.
2 months.
45 days ago, they all looked at each other like, dude, this ship is sinking.
Yes.
Abandoned ship. Van Jones is crying. Obama doesn't know what's going on.
Nancy Pelosi's getting hammered.
They're like, holy shit.
Jones
And what
crying.
happens is they're like, I don't know, bro. What are we going to do? Is it fucking Kamala? Is it Gretchen Whitmer? Is it fat JB Pritzker? What are we going to do? We're going to get gay Pete Buttigieg? Like, what are we going to do? And they're just like, I guess it's Kamala.
They have
And
to.
this whole, like, let's see how Kamala works. And it's working.
Yep.
And they're like, listen, don't tell this chick not to open her mouth.
Yeah. And every
We're
time
just
she
gonna
does,
have-
every time she does,
Yeah.
it kind of dips.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Don't say anything.
And we have the second.
And they're now just like, holy shit, it's working.
Yeah.
Holy shit, it's working.
So don't ruin
Don't
ruin it. Let
Oh
her-
my
yeah.
God, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, and then- so
look
this
at the
is-
polls. And last point. So now they're like, oh my God, like, all right, let's imagine two fighters. They're in the ring, they're fighting. And dude, Democrat just got knocked out. And all of a sudden, they get this second chance of life and they hit Trump. And he's like, whoa. And what the reality is, Trump was so focused on Sleepy Joe, Hunter Biden criminal, everything, all the attack, everything, Ukraine. They can't use any of that attack lines now. So now he's like, you notice the black journalism thing? That failed miserably. You know that. Mm-hmm. Sitting there amongst thousands of black people, he attacks a black woman. So now he's like, dude, what do I do? Do I attack her as a woman? Can't do that. I'm gonna lose a woman. Do I attack her as a black woman? Can't do that. So the only thing he can do now is attack her record, which is horrible.
Yeah. But
But that's not a position that plays to Trump's strengths.
Yeah.
Because if we say anything about Trump, his strength is you're fat, you're stupid, you're lazy. He can't really go there on Kamala
No, he can't.
because it's
with
woman
Joe,
shaming.
with Joe, he did hardcore. The border,
But
the economy. Now that's
100%.
gone. Because now it's like people are saying, you know what? She's the vice president. What could the vice president do? I'm going to play this clip. This is the second clip of Oprah. She's claiming that she was a victim of racism, sexism, and income equality and division.
That is my favorite, income equality.
Income equality. Meanwhile, she's worth almost $3 billion, like Rob said. Can we please play this clip?
From the redwood forests, love those redwoods, to the Gulf Stream waters, I've seen racism and sexism and income inequality and division. I've not only seen it, At times, I've been on the receiving end of it.
Like
It's true.
Yeah, I don't.
It's
disagree.
true.
Yeah, probably
40 years ago.
Yeah.
but guess what? She just wants to keep reminding you because that's how they roll. Tom, what do you think?
Well, I think when she says income equality, there was a time where there was a lot of discussion on what she was paid for her role in A Color Purple and what a male actor that had a similar role of similar level in the film was paid, and the male actor was paid more. So I'm sure she's talking about Hollywood and the income equality so she can play that
In
card.
1980.
Yeah.
Right.
She got paid $35,000 for The Color of Purple.
What year was that? Literally 84.
I have to look.
Right.
1985.
Oh my God! Right. So literally 40 years ago.
Right, but it is. But guess what? There was a time when I experienced it, so she can say that as a true statement. I think what you don't seem to understand, and I see many of us don't seem to understand it, but I've been diving back into this, and think of this. Your temperature is 98.6 most every day. The day your temperature is 100, that's not that much more. You feel hot. Mm-hmm. You feel like you may have a fever. You feel uncomfortable. That's kind of where the economy is now. As bad as the economy is now, some of the people in America are feeling it like 102 fever. It's not the economy and what's happening in America is bad. It's that it's not bad enough. I don't want it to be worse, but it has to cross over a next level. And that's where historically voters have crossed over from personalities and actually voted for people that they thought were going to make it better. Remember, history will show you that human nature is unchanged. It's just different era, different technology, different medicine. But basically, our human core is very similar. The people of Italy elected Mussolini because the economy was so bad and things were so bad that, among other things, he merely promised that the trains would run on time so you could depend on them to get to work or go someplace. Yeah. And that's how bad it was that they elected Benito Mussolini. Now they got over it some years later and slit his throat in the city square and hung him upside down. Yeah. So but Gavin Newsom, by the way, that was called a recall. So it's, but it was a little more intense back then. But right now, as bad as it is America, as much as consumers are hurting, as much as you've got single moms and people that are truly looking at their credit card debt that has now been buying electricity and gasoline and groceries, it hasn't gotten bad enough that the core voter has said, wait a minute, it's not bad enough. And I look at these statistics and it kind of scares me that as bad as it is right now, nobody is sitting back and getting past their own little Trump derangement syndrome. And I don't know your four friends, but I think that's what you're talking about is like, guys, you can't objectively just look around society and you can't get past Trump enough to vote for the person you're going to think is good. Yep. And they're like, no, Adam, we're with Kamala. And that's the part that bothers me is Americans are not thinking deeply enough about their fellow Americans, right? The only thing I've ever agreed with on an Obama speech is the first line, my fellow Americans. At that point, I'm in agreement with them. It goes downhill from there. Yeah. You look at it, and I just wonder, where's the American voter saying, my fellow Americans? Where are the wealthy, people that are looking around and thinking about it as my fellow Americans? Yeah. Where are we? Why aren't we voting? You're not voting for a president. You're also voting for your neighbors. Yeah,
and Mother, you brought up Obama.
I actually think that's a great point. Yeah. In theory, Tom, the golden rule, do unto others as you want them to. I agree with you in theory. But in practice, I don't think anybody's going into a voting booth and being like, but my neighbors. So in theory, it's a great way to do it. But in practice, I think people vote out of self-interest, how they feel, and how they feel matters. Yeah. And
feelings.
The economy, you're spot on with, it's bad, but it's not bad enough to be like, I'm out. Because we've seen that multiple times. The 2001 bubble, the tech bubble, it was enough to get Clinton out, essentially, and Gore out, and Bush in. In 2008, we know that the worst economic recession we've seen in the last, in our lifetime, basically. It was enough for basically Bush, dude, get out of here. McCain had no chance. Cool guy Barack shows up, boom. And then it was enough of a bad situation in 2020 to get Trump out. So I fully agree with you. When the economy is that bad, people are looking to literally make a change and make some change and then put them change in their pockets. I think the economy's bad. You know, it's also lipstick on a pig type situation. Inflation is not great, but compared to other countries around the world, it's actually doing very well. So if it was worse, I agree with you, change. But if it stays like this, it's not so bad that people are like, dude, I can't even survive.
Yeah.
So
you brought up I versus we. And the historical surveys will show you that there was very much of a we in the 1950s, and there was very much a we in the middle 70s in America. What do we do for the country? And when people voted, I think now we're more I think you're right. We are more self-interested and selfish today when we vote. And you can go back times in history where we did go into the voting booth as an American country and say, what's better for the country, right? And Reagan asked the question, he said, are you better off than you are 4 years ago? If you're not, may I ask for your vote?
Yes.
And he wrapped that around America needs to be a shining city on a hill. So it was, we need to be better, and are you better off in that? And so there were times in history where Americans have, in fact, had we right next to I when they voted. I think today, I think you're right. There's a lot of I.
Well, that's right. Great point. And if you want to juxtapose two completely polarizing ideologies, if you want to go back a little bit further, JFK, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That narrative to literally selfie culture. The root word of selfie is self, your obsession with self or being selfish. Social media, selfie culture is completely antithetical to how our country was founded and basically the principles of our country that JFK sort of ran on. But that gives you a little context of where we are today.
You're right. And we could jump down the rabbit hole, which we're not going to do, about what social media has done to the psyche of our high schoolers.
What's up, everybody? Vincent O'Shaughnessy here. If you want to see me and the entire Valuetainment crew, we will be at the Vault Conference September 4th through the 7th at the Palm Beach Convention Center, hosted by none other than Patrick Bet-David and featuring Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Guys, this is the place to be. If you are an entrepreneur and you want to level up, do not miss this opportunity. This is the best place to network. If you want tickets, go to thevaultconference.com. Do not waste time. This thing is going to sell out, and I will see you guys there. Peace and love. So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.